Hello, this is Ray Edwards once again from learncopy.com and webcopywriting.com with another installment of copywriting tips and tricks. In this nugget I want to talk about how to avoid tattle-tale copywriting. Strange subject, isn't it? When she stepped on the scale, a warning message popped out which read, "One at a time please." So goes a local community joke from my childhood days, and it definitely beats those "your mama is so fat" jokes. Well, at least in my book. Why? Because the statement is showing instead of telling. You see, you get the fat joke because I didn't just tell you that she was fat, but show you instead. And those "your mama is so fat" jokes give away the punchline at the beginning anyway. But this idea of showing and not telling is not just about joke telling or joke showing. It's one of the fundamental rules of fiction writing that you should also apply to your copywriting. Copywriting is always more emotionally powerful and engaging when you give specific details about the emotions that you felt, rather than listing those emotions. Whenever you give the details, you allow the reader to build their own mental picture, which are more interesting than you can ever tell. Since we're talking about showing, then some examples should help here. An example, telling. I felt mentally and physically drained. That's a telling statement. A showing statement would be, my legs could barely hold up my body as I crawled onto the sofa. I tried to cry myself to sleep, but the tears came without the sleep. You see, in the telling example, you have a mental understanding of my situation, but you cannot share in my feelings. In the showing case, you are made a part of the scene because you are invited to feel what I feel. You are drawn into the action, making the writing more engaging and compelling. Showing involves using actions, speech, and thoughts to dramatize or illustrate what you are feeling or doing. This involves more than using all kinds of adjectives and describing every detail, whether these details are useful or not. You don't want to overwhelm your readers with mountains of details, but select only those specifics that matter. Consider the following. Case number 1. I'll never forget the way I felt when I made my first online sale. I was elated. Here, you see, I'm just telling you how I felt without creating in you the same feeling that I felt. This results in the narrative falling flat on its face. But consider this. If I were to outlive Methuselah, I'll never forget how totally elated I was after making my first online sale. I was so overjoyed that I thought my heart would burst. I told my wife, friends, and anyone who came within earshot of me. I've added some extra details that have just expanded the telling without giving you any reason to feel my joy and elation. So you learn nothing new, and I took you through a longer passage which is punishment to the reader. But consider this. Case 3. It was 2:30 a.m. and a strange time to be checking my email, but there it was, the notification for my first online sale. I ran all the way upstairs and woke up my wife. I did it. She warned me that if I didn't calm down, the noise would awake the kids in the next room. But as far as I was concerned, no one in the family should be sleeping at a time like this. I was now an official internet marketer. You see, this time, I don't have to tell you that I was elated about making my first online sale, because the specific details I've shared with you show the depth of my emotion. By the way, here is how I started that sales letter from which I made this first online sale. That sales letter started by saying, "Dear friend, I think that I stopped breathing for a moment. I felt a rush of adrenaline. You'll guess, much like striking gold. I looked at my website stats page for about 5 minutes. Just couldn't believe what they revealed. There had to be some mistake, but no. This turned out to be one of the best kept traffic secrets on the internet. I was getting free traffic by doing absolutely nothing. Yes, my stats were not fooling me at all. And I'm happy to tell you that's a real story and a real true life situation, and that letter did a whopping 15% conversion. Anyway, another way in which you may tell too much is by using adverbs after he said. He replied, such as she said bitterly, or he replied angrily. You see, you should let the dialogue itself show the speaker's manner or condition. Also, be careful of overloading your conversation with explanatory verbs such as he corrected or she congratulated. It's often said that rules are made to be broken, and in no other discipline is this truer than in copywriting. Copywriters hate any writing rules, and if they know any, they'll deliberately break them just to anger grammarians. I just told you something that I should have shown, didn't I? But this illustrates a point, and that is, there are exceptions to the show, don't tell rule. You see, the whole point is that it helps your scene to become more dramatic, and if you continually do this, then nothing will stand out. It would be like highlighting every word in a letter. You see, telling can be used as a shortcut to the real meaty part of the story. Also, if you have already given the details previously, you don't want to repeat the same showing all over again when retelling the scene. Also, showing requires more words and can make your sales letter unnecessarily long. So, the less important elements of your story can be told and the more important elements shown. In essence, then, don't overdo the showing. Sometimes, telling is the best way to go. Consider this. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Of course, the first verse in the Bible. I couldn't think of a more powerful way to open the most popular non-fiction book in the entire world. Whenever I read the sales letters of the old masters of copywriting, I can immediately see how they use the rule of show and don't tell. And you should too.